I didn't mean to make the evening news. I meant to make it home with discount sushi and the kind of face mask that promised radiance, but usually delivered mild rash. Instead, a black SUV ran a red on Kings Avenue and kissed the side of my little hatchback like it was hungry. Metal screamed, glass popped. My life didn't flash before my eyes, my grocery list did. When the car spun, so did the world I'd been pretending fit me. I woke to sirens, the sour tang of spilled gasoline, and the cold bite of winter air slipping under the twisted door like a thief. A paramedic leaned into the wreckage, eyes sharp. "Stay with me." "Name?" "Nia Hart," I rasped. "Hart," he repeated, the way people in our city repeat the names of the crowned. Because Hart means charity galas with strings attached, magazine covers with family photos edited until you can't see the cracks, and my sister Vanessa's smile rehearsed within an inch of its life. "Any allergies?" "Lobster, liars," I coughed, the humor automatic and awful. The paramedic snorted despite himself. They cut me free. The world stuttered between here and black. In the ambulance, pain rolled through me like a tide pulling back secrets. Something low under my skin stirred. It felt like a whisper at the base of my skull, a breath against my palm. When the doors flew open at St. Gabriel's and the Alpha ER doctor stepped into the light, the whisper turned into a knock. He was tall in the way trouble is tall. Dark hair, gray eyes like storm glass. The name on his badge, Dr. Darius Wolfe. And he looked at me like a starving man clocking the smell of bread for the first time in years. The air changed. Metal, antiseptic, blood. And underneath, a heat that slid into my lungs and set up camp. He inhaled once, sharply, and his pupils blew wide. My heart skittered. Something answered inside me, a shiver of recognition I didn't know I owned. "Don't move," he said, voice low, too steady for the way his jaw clenched. "I've got you." A camera flash popped somewhere down the corridor. Of course it did. The hearts bleed in public. I survived a car crash, discovered I'm supernatural, and my sister's still furious my hair looked good on the 6 o'clock news. If you believe fate can be cruel, and occasionally hilarious, hit subscribe. I'm about to confess a dangerous secret, and you'll want front row seats. Chapter 1. I'm Nia Hart, 25, middle child professional people pleaser turned spectacular failure at being convenient. The Harts host 3 things better than anyone in the city: philanthropic galas, strategically leaked scandals, and expectations you'll never meet. Vanessa's the golden one, socialite, influencer, walking investment portfolio. Our parents orbit her. I orbit the edges. "You're special in your own way," Mother would say, touching my shoulder like praise might be contagious if she lingered. I learned to be quiet, useful, invisible. Easier to be a guest than to fight for a room of one's own. 2 hours before the crash, I was in our marble-cold kitchen, boxed behind orchids and branded water, watching Vanessa rehearse for Friday's charity gala. "Nia," she sang, pretending my name was something she could bead and sell. "Wear the ivory dress." Cameras love contrast with my gold. I own 2 dresses and one is haunted by pad thai, I said. "So it's the black one." She sighed. Opportunities look like choices when you don't know value. "Did you rehearse that on the limo ride over?" I asked, sugary sweet. She smiled the way crocodiles do. Father breezed in, phone stapled to his ear, Mother at his flank with a tray of stylists' mood boards. The usual parade. "Vanessa, the reporter from City Beat wants you front page with the governor's wife." "Nia, darling, can you fetch the signed checks from the study and not, misplace them this time?" I had mislaid one check once. In my defense, I'd left it under a vase labeled discreet, which is entrapment. "On it," I said, "because I always am, because they ask and I answer, because there's power in being ignored. You hear everything." In the study, I found the checks, found the family crest ring glinting in a beam of winter light, found the drawer that stuck. I tugged and it surrendered with a little gasp. Inside, a leather-bound folio, dated, embossed with the Hart sigil. Ledgers. Not the usual gilded philanthropy fluff. These whispered of names and donations with strings woven so tight you could choke on them. I shouldn't have opened it. I did. And I saw a name circled twice in red. Wolfe Medical Fund. I frowned. We don't donate to wolves. Not officially. Not publicly. Nia. Vanessa's voice floated toward me, honey-edged with glass. We're late. Try to look less you. Cameras, remember I slid the folio back, took the checks, and tucked the moment into my pocket like a question. I left. And then the light ran out on Kings Avenue, and an SUV made a choice that unmade me. The ER bleached time. Beeps and wheels and voices braided into something clinical and constant, while I hovered between pain and the throb of something awakening. Dr. Darius Wolfe moved around me with precise violence. Orders crisp, touch careful. He smelled like clean rain and iron and the wild on the other side of a fenced memory. BP dropping, a nurse said. Hang a unit, he replied. Nia, stay with me. His palm pressed against my wrist, and his breath hitched. His eyes cut to mine. Something like recognition hit us both, sudden and undeniable. What? I whispered. He swallowed. Professional mask slid back into place with the click of a lock. You'll be okay. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to ask why the word okay sounded like a vow. They wheeled me to imaging. The CT whirred. The fluorescent ceiling hummed a cheap song. When they brought me back, the hospital corridor had changed from merely busy to buzzing. Reporters at the doors, flashes through glass, because the city had learned my last name and scented news. Vanessa arrived first, swaddled in cashmere, a publicist in her wake. She took one look at me and arranged her features into concerned sister, high cheekbones edition. Oh, Nia, she breathed, as if this was already a scene she'd seen in dailies. Her eyes slid over me to Dr. Wolfe, stuck, calculated. Doctor? Family only, he said, not looking at her. I am family, she replied, offended on a genetic level. He looked at me, not her. Do you want a moment alone with your sister? Did I? The petty part of me wanted to ask him to stay forever and hold her coat out in the hall. The honest part said, 2 minutes. He nodded once like it cost him. I'll be right outside. When the door shut, Vanessa's mouth softened and then sharpened. You look better on camera than in person, she murmured. Lucky lighting. Hi, Ness, my voice scraped. I'm fine, thanks. You're trending, she whispered, eyes bright. Heart strong. We can use this. Dad's pushing a joint interview, human interest angle, 2 sisters closer than blood. Closer than blood? I laughed, winced. Did you practice that in the limo too? She inclined her head toward the door. And him. Who is he? My doctor, I said. He has a name. Darius Wolfe. Wolfe E., she repeated thoughtfully, like she was fitting it into a headline font. Dad has... Never mind, this can work. I was in a car accident, I said. You're in a campaign. Every crisis is a runway, she said, and kissed my forehead like a benediction and a brand. We'll talk later. The door opened. Darius stepped in. Vanessa's smile crystallized. She offered him her hand. Vanessa Hart. He looked at it like it was a contract with blood clauses. Did not take it. She needs rest. He turned to me, softer. There's something we should discuss privately. Medical Vanessa's gaze flicked between us. A flash of something jagged crossed her face, gone as quickly as a paparazzi bulb. Of course, she murmured. You know where to find me. She glided out. The temperature of the room rose 3 degrees. Darius exhaled. He came closer, careful hands, careful distance. How much do you know about your family medical history? He asked gently. I know I get hives from shellfish and attention, I said. Why? His eyes warmed but didn't waver. Because your labs flagged a lineage marker. Rare, recessive. And I can scent it. He paused, letting the word settle. Nia, you're omega. Pure. My laugh cracked. You're kidding. I don't joke about biology. A beat. Something like awe threaded his voice. I also don't usually say this to patients. But my wolf is... He cut himself off, jaw ticking. This is complicated. Complicated like every instinct I have is telling me to stand between you and anything that breathes too loud, he said roughly, as if each word scraped. And that's not professional. It's not planned. It's scent recognition. Bond onset. I stared at him. Bond. The word slotted into my bones like it had been waiting for a key. Something inside me leaned forward, curious and feral and so tired of being alone. I whispered, "What happens now?" He swallowed. "Now I keep you alive." His hand hovered, then landed, feather light, over the pulse at my wrist. Heat flared. And we take this one breath at a time, because the door swung open without knocking. And my mother glided in on a hush of perfume and disapproval, father at her shoulder, Vanessa behind them like a threat in silk. "Dr. Wolfe," Mother said, smile tidy as a legal clause. "We'll take it from here." Chapter 2. "Take what from here?" Darius asked, voice velvet over steel. "Care," Mother said, the syllable dainty and deadly. "We've retained a family physician for years. Discretion is everything." "Discretion," Darius repeated, not moving, "is the least of your daughter's needs right now." Father cleared his throat. "We appreciate your service, Doctor." "Wolfe, was it? You'll send the records. We'll handle the rest." Darius's gaze found mine like a compass. "Do you want me to fight?" his eyes asked. Mine said, "I don't know how to ask for that." He nodded, barely, as if my uncertainty was permission enough. "Your daughter is my patient," he said. "Transferring care at this stage would be negligent." Mother's smile evaporated. "We will sign whatever absolves you." "Signatures aren't cures," he murmured. Then, to me, gentler, "Nia, how are you feeling?" "Like a toddler used my ribs as a xylophone," I said. "And like I won't survive one more conversation where my fate is a group project." Vanessa tisked. "Dramatic." "Dramatic is your forte," I said, sweet as arsenic. "I'm improvising." Darius didn't smile, but the edge of his mouth twitched, which felt like sunlight smuggling itself into winter. "Visitors out," he said. 10 minutes. Non-negotiable." My parents looked at each other, the calculus of optics skittered across their faces. Mother squeezed my fingers. Cool, performative. "We'll be outside," she said, which meant, "we'll be pulling strings." When the door closed, Darius rolled his shoulders as if he'd been holding the ceiling up with them. "Sorry." "They're a lot," I said. "You are more," he replied, like it was a simple fact, then cleared his throat. "Listen. Omega physiology is delicate at first onset. Your accident might have shocked a dormant gene active. It happens under extreme stress. So getting T-boned by destiny and a luxury vehicle qualifies," I said. "Unfortunately," he hesitated, "omegas can attract attention, instincts in others. I need to set protocols. Security on your room, limited visitors. Monitoring bodyguards?" I asked, amused and alarmed. "Boundaries," he said softly. "And yes." "If you agree." "Since when do hearts agree to boundaries?" I muttered. Then surprised us both. "Since now." Yes, relief flashed across his face, quick and private. He scribbled orders. Nurses flowed like competent angels. A guard posted outside. The air felt less thin. "Why do you care?" The question escaped before I could dress it up. "Past the oath." "Past the scent." He looked at me the way night looks at a window. "Because I know the sound a person makes when they're used to being second. And it makes my wolf murderous." Silence hummed. The monitor beeped in our stead. "Also," he added dryly, "I'm not immune to your charm." "My charm," I echoed faintly. "Good to know the concussion is contagious." A tap at the door. Nurse. Doctor? Lab's back. He took the chart, scanned, exhaled through his nose. Any dizziness, nausea? Only when my sister speaks. Your electrolytes are low. Pain we can manage. The other, we'll have to talk about supports, omega supports? The words had a shape I wasn't ready to hold. He met my gaze. You won't do it alone. It sounded like a vow again. He left to sign orders. I watched him go and wondered when the world got color I hadn't ordered. I drifted, dreamed of moonlight like silver coins dropped across water, a wolf's shadow threaded through mine. When I woke, the room was dark except for the city pulsing beyond the window and a soft glow under my door. Whispered voices. Mothers. Fathers. Another man. Low. Amused. I slipped from bed, IV stand whispering secrets, and cracked the door. Expensive, the man murmured, but effective. Bond suppression isn't for the faint of wallet, my blood iced. Mother's whisper, we can't have her. Distracted. Or entangled. Not now Vanessa's velvet voice, especially not with him. The optics... Footsteps approached. I slid back into bed, breath staccato. The door opened an inch. Darius's silhouette blocked the hall light. You're awake, he said, voice steady. But his eyes were cinders. He'd heard it too. What? I whispered, throat tight. Is bond suppression? His jaw flexed. Something I will never let them do to you. He looked at my wrist, where the hospital bracelet sat snug. He pulled a pen from his pocket and drew a tiny, neat wolf's head on the band, a little mark in black ink that looked like a promise. Sleep. I'm on call. He stepped back into the corridor and took up a position against the wall, arms crossed, like a watchman who had decided the night would have to go through him. Vanessa's shadow lingered at the end of the hall, phone raised, recording. Chapter 3. The video hit the feeds by morning. A sympathetic montage of me on a gurney set to soft piano, a tasteful #heartstrong overlay, and a careful crop that kept Darius's face just out of frame, leaving the sense of mystery doctor begging to be solved. My phone buzzed with messages I didn't want. Are you okay? From acquaintances who loved proximity. We're here for you from people who would shove me off a yacht for a better angle. From my parents, a PR schedule. From Vanessa, breakfast on the patio. We can shoot something heartfelt. You're not going anywhere, Darius said, reading my face like a chart. You're still in observation. Observation is a kind word for being a prop, I muttered. I can feel them scripting me. Then improvise, he said, lips quirking. Let them try to keep up. He did his rounds. I did my best to be sane. Security turned away paparazzi in lab coats. A florist arrived with flowers that looked like they cost rent, and included a card to Vanessa, of course. I asked a nurse for a marker. On the bracelet with the wolf's head, I added tiny claw marks, one for each person allowed past my guard. Darius. Nurse Amara. My friend Priya, who texted a picture of her middle finger to the entire Hart family group chat. God bless her. By noon, Vanessa breezed in with a camera team the size of a marching band. Absolutely not, Nurse Amara said, stepping in front of them like a 5'2" wall of no. We have permission, Vanessa smiled. You have a delusion, Amara replied. Pick it up at the pharmacy. Darius arrived like a thunderhead relocating. I'll press out, he said. The cameraman wilted. Vanessa didn't. Dr. Wolfe, she said, syrup curdling. I'm trying to help my sister. The public loves a story, and a story needs consent, Darius said, which your sister has not given. Vanessa's eyes flicked to me, blue as cut glass. We'll talk later, she purred, meaning I'll win later. Can't wait, I said, meaning try me. They left. Darius scrubbed a hand over his face. You okay? Oddly? Yes, I swallowed. What is bond suppression? He pulled the privacy curtain and sat at the edge of the bed. leaving a careful inch of space that felt like a mile and a breath at once. Alchemists make it. Rich men buy it. Families when they want to control outcomes. He glanced toward the door. It dampens scent response, hormone cascades, numbs the bond until it withers. My stomach flipped. That's legal? It's gray, which is how money likes its ethics. He studied me. You heard them last night? Yes. I'll report any attempt as medical interference. I'll move you rooms if I have to. He stopped, looked like he wanted to punch a wall and write legislation with his knuckles. You have choices. With me or without me, but not them over you. Why? I asked again, softer now, less defense, more raw. He didn't look away. Because 2 years ago I lost someone in this hospital to the same brand of family knows best. A beat. It won't happen again. There it was, a fissure in his armor, a story edged in shadow. Who? He stood, jaw tight. Later. He cleared his throat. I need to check imaging. Dr. Wolfe, I said. He paused. Thank you. For drawing the wolf, I lifted my wrist. It felt like you saw me. His mouth softened. I do. He left before I could fall through that word and drown. The afternoon dragged. Priya slipped past security with contraband dumplings and a glare that could cauterize. You look alive, she said, squeezing my toes. I was prepared to haunt Vanessa if... Get in line. We ate, we laughed. We planned a micro-rebellion, which is to say, I texted Mother to decline the Hart-approved interview and attached a shot of my bracelet with tally marks and the caption New Protocol. Within 30 seconds, Father called. I declined. Within 5 minutes, Vanessa posted a story of her tearfully gazing out a window captioned, Doing everything I can for my sister. I turned my phone face down. At dusk, Darius reappeared with a chart and coffee that tasted like a hug. You're stable. Pain's down. We could discharge tomorrow if you have somewhere safe to go. Define safe, I said. Not your parents' penthouse. I laughed, then saw he wasn't joking. That's not going to be easy. I have options, he said carefully. There's an adjunct residence for staff families near the hospital. Secure, discreet. You're inviting me to your place? My brain reached for sarcasm and found only static. Heat rose in my cheeks like I'd swallowed a star. He cleared his throat. To a safe apartment near mine, he corrected gently. With a lock that only listens to you. I'd break a lease in a heartbeat, Priya said from the chair, startling him. He hadn't noticed her sleeping there. But your option sounds less felony, he coughed into his fist. Right. I'll finish paperwork. Darius, I said. He looked back. If we do this, the bond thing, it has to be on my terms. No more people choosing for me. Then we won't until you say, he said, the words warm and weighty as a blanket. And that's when the fire alarm went off. The lights strobed, the hall filled with the smell of chemical smoke and shouting. Security barked orders. My door banged open and a man in maintenance coveralls appeared, face hidden by a mask. He reached for my IV stand like a professional. Time to move you, he said, voice oddly flat. Darius barreled in from the opposite door like an answer to a prayer I hadn't risked saying. He grabbed the man's wrist mid-reach, their eyes locked. The man bared teeth he hadn't earned. He reeked of something bitter and wrong. Who sent you? Darius asked softly. The man smiled. Money. Darius moved. It was clean. It was quiet. It was absolutely not in the hospital handbook. By the time security arrived, the man was on the floor, breathing but regretful. Darius didn't take his eyes off me until the cuffs clicked. I shook. Priya swore creatively. The alarm died. The smell lingered like a rumor. Darius's voice was very calm. They tried the front door. Then the camera, now the fire drill. He looked at my bracelet, at the wolf's head and the claw marks. You're coming with me. My phone buzzed. A new text. Unknown number. Bond suppression arrives at 10. Don't make this hard, sweetheart. Chapter 4. I didn't expect the apartment to smell like safety. Maybe because I'd never had any. It was the top floor of a converted brownstone near the hospital, the kind of place you'd miss if you didn't know what you were looking for. Too clean, too quiet, too intentional. Darius held the door open with that easy, clinical steadiness of his, like even doors behaved for him. "Welcome to neutral ground," he said. Neutral ground. I wanted to laugh. I hadn't been neutral a day in my life. The space was small but elegant. Soft gray walls, books stacked like old friends, and a faint scent of coffee and ozone. It wasn't sterile. It was lived in. Human. A blanket draped over the couch. A mug left drying on the rack. He'd cleaned for me but not erased himself. That mattered. "You live here?" I asked, voice too small. He shook his head. "Next door." Next. Door. Fate officially had a sense of humor. "I didn't want you in the hospital after the break-in," he continued. "Too public. Too many hands. Too many cameras," I said. His mouth ticked. "That, too." He showed me the security setup: coded lock, private elevator, reinforced glass. He spoke like a man cataloging a checklist to stay calm. I let him. He needed control. I needed the illusion of choice. We were both pretending to breathe normally. When he turned to leave, I blurted, "Stay." He froze. I waved a hand. "Not stay. Just stay long enough for me to not hear ghosts in the vents." His eyes softened. 15 minutes. He didn't sit. He leaned against the counter, arms folded, presence a living fortress. I sat on the couch, hands clasped, pulse loud. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of all the things we weren't saying. Finally, I exhaled. "What do I owe you for the rescue?" "Because if it's my firstborn, you're out of luck." That earned the smallest laugh. "You owe me nothing, Nia." That's dangerous talk. My family collects debts the way some people collect fine art. I'm not your family. "Not yet," I said under my breath, then wanted to bury myself in the cushions. Wow, that sounded way creepier out loud. His lips quirked. "You're honest when you're nervous." "And you're bossy when you're pretending you're fine," I shot back. Something flickered behind his eyes. Not amusement, not irritation, recognition. "You notice too much," he murmured. "I was raised by sharks. You either notice or get eaten." He tilted his head. "And which are you?" "Still swimming." That made him smile. Small, reluctant, real. The kind of smile that could rebuild cities if it ever learned to stay. When the quiet settled again, I realized my heart wasn't racing from fear. It was pacing from something older. My senses were still raw from the accident and the awakening. Every sound felt sharper, every scent more defined. I could smell the coffee on his shirt, the soap, the faint trace of rain he carried with him, like he didn't belong to this world entirely. And then the whisper came again. Deep inside, low and alive, mine. I stiffened. "Did you hear that?" Darius blinked. "Hear what?" "Nothing," I lied quickly. But the air thickened, heavy with something ancient and electric. His gaze dropped to my throat, not in lust, but instinct. My pulse stuttered under his stare. He stepped back instantly, jaw clenched. "You're shifting faster than I expected." "You mean I'm becoming a walking hormone hazard?" His mouth twitched again. "Something like that." He moved to the balcony and opened the door. Cool night air swept in, brushing over my skin like a sigh. "Come here," he said quietly. I hesitated. If this turns into some weird vampire initiation, I'm calling HR. He ignored me. "You're overloaded." Omegas regulate through grounding, breathing, scent alignment. It'll help. I followed. Because some part of me trusted him, like my bones remembered him. Outside, the city shimmered below, sirens in the distance, Silver moon crouched low. The railing gleamed faintly, catching the light in small fractured arcs. "Breathe in," he said softly, stepping close enough for his heat to find me. "Count to 4. Out to 6 I obeyed, though my lungs trembled. Now again," he murmured, voice like rain against glass. "Follow the rhythm. Let your body remember what safe feels like. Don't think it ever knew," I whispered. His eyes flicked to mine, lightning quick, deeply human. "Then we'll teach it." We stood there, breathing the same air, the space between us shrinking until even silence had a pulse. The scent connection hit, not like fireworks, but like recognition. I smelled storm and cedar, the kind of scent that wraps around you and whispers, "You can rest now." He inhaled once, sharply, his pupils dilated. "You feel it too," I nodded. "Feels like static and déjà vu had a baby." "That's your bond sense opening," he said roughly. "It's not control, it's connection." "Don't let anyone shame you for it," I swallowed. "You talk like someone who's been shamed before." He didn't answer. His gaze was locked on the horizon. "Once." The quiet stretched, soft but dangerous. My pulse settled. My wolf, new, confused, fragile, curled up in the warmth of his presence and slept. When I opened my eyes again, I felt more grounded than I had in years. "Better?" he asked. "Yes." Annoyingly so, he huffed a laugh. "Good, I'll leave you to rest." He turned for the door, and that's when the faintest click echoed from the lock. My heart tripped. "Darius?" He froze. The keypad light flickered green, but I hadn't touched it. The door eased open half an inch. A shadow fell across the threshold. He moved faster than sight, intercepting whoever it was before they could fully enter. A familiar voice gasped. "Darius, stop! It's me, Vanessa." Her hair was perfect, her coat designer, her smile weaponized. She held up a sleek silver keycard between two manicured fingers. "Family privilege," she said sweetly. "Father wanted me to check on my beloved sister." I stood there, barefoot in one of Darius's borrowed shirts, blood roaring in my ears. "You had a key?" She tilted her head. "I have access." "Same thing, darling." Darius's grip on the door tightened. "This property is under medical protection." "You're trespassing." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Everything's a stage, Dr. Wolfe. You should know that better than anyone. You've been playing knight in shining scrubs for days." Her eyes flicked to me, glinting, satisfied. "And you, Nia? You really think a few bodyguards and a tragic headline make you special? You're still the spare my wolf." Fragile, new, still blinking into existence. Growled. It startled both of us, a low rolling sound that came from my chest and filled the room. Vanessa's eyes widened, her mask cracking. "Get out," I said, voice too calm. She stared like she didn't recognize me. Darius stepped closer, all shadows and quiet threat. "You heard her." Vanessa's smirk returned, brittle. "Careful, doctor." "My father doesn't like people telling him no. Then he'll hate me," he said, and shut the door in her face. The lock clicked. Silence flooded back in, thick and electric. I sank onto the couch, shaking, not from fear, but from something wild, uncaging itself inside me. Darius crouched in front of me, hands steady on my knees, voice low. "You did good." I growled at my sister. "You defended yourself." I think I scared me. His smile was soft and tired. "Good. She's been scared of you her whole life. She just didn't know why." Something hot pricked behind my eyes. "They're not going to stop." "No," he said. "But neither will we." He stood, crossed to the counter, and pulled something from his jacket pocket, the hospital bracelet, the one with the tiny wolf's head. He'd kept it. He set it gently on the table between us. "Keep it." "It's a reminder of what?" He met my eyes. "That you're not their property anymore." I exhaled slowly. You make it sound like I've already escaped. He smiled faintly. You're halfway out the door. The bracelet gleamed faintly under the apartment light. I reached for it, and a text buzzed on Darius's phone. He read it. His expression changed. I saw my name on the screen before he locked it. Text: If she doesn't come home quietly, we'll make sure she doesn't come home at all. He looked at me. Pack a bag, Nia. They just made it official. I can feel your heartbeat, I whispered. Yours is faster. Show off, he huffed a laugh. That's grounding. Not flirting, feels like both. He swallowed, the sound audible even over the wind. You're dangerous. To you? To my control. My eyes opened. Moonlight carved him in silver, sharp jaw, tired eyes, restraint trembling like a wire. For a moment we just stood there, breath sinking. It wasn't a kiss. It was something quieter, heavier. Recognition. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Beautiful speech. Shame if it was your last. Darius saw it over my shoulder. His hand tightened on the railing. They're escalating. Let them, I said, voice steel now. I'm done hiding. He turned to face me fully. Then we do this together. Against my family? Against anyone who tries to silence you. I smiled faintly. That's a long list. Then it's good I don't blink much. Below, the gala crowd spilled into chaos as reporters shouted and flashbulbs popped. Inside, Vanessa was probably spinning damage control. But out here, with the city burning silver and my wolf awake under my skin, I felt untouchable. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten heart. I was the one they should have feared. Sirens wailed in the distance. Not ambulance sirens this time, but police. And through the open doors, a security guard rushed toward us, panic on his face. "Dr. Wolfe," he gasped. "They've issued a warrant." Someone filed a report. Kidnapping. They say you abducted Nia Hart. If your family turned your rescue into a crime, would you run or make them regret ever underestimating you? Chapter 6. You know how in movies people always say things can't get worse, right before the universe sets them on fire? Yeah. Hi. I'm the poster child for that moment. Kidnapping? I echoed, the word tasting like static. The guard nodded miserably. There's a signed complaint, Ms. Hart. Your father... Of course it's my father. Behind me, Darius had gone very still. Who authorized the report? The Hart family legal team. Vanessa's timing was impeccable as ever. She appeared in the doorway, all golden hair and poison perfume, flanked by 2 officers. You've had your moment, little sister. Now let the adults clean up the mess. Darius stepped between us, voice low, polite, lethal. She's not going anywhere without counsel. Vanessa's smile could have cut glass. Dr. Wolfe, we both know you're not counsel. You're her captor. Try that word again, he said, softer now, and I stopped being polite. The officer shifted uneasily. Sir, please. We just need to take statements. I wanted to scream, laugh, both. Instead, I straightened, every muscle trembling but alive. I'll go, I said. But he comes with me. Vanessa opened her mouth to object, but one look from Darius made her rethink her life choices. We walked out together, past the reporters, past the cameras, past the family name etched in gold on the banners. For the first time, I didn't shrink from the flashbulbs. Let them capture this. The holding room smelled like coffee and bleach. Darius paced, controlled fury coiled under his skin. His tie was gone, sleeves rolled, the picture of a man trying not to break something expensive. They're using the medical guardianship clause, he muttered, claiming you're unfit post-trauma under duress. Which translates to, she embarrassed us on live television, I said. He didn't smile. They want control. They'll weaponize whatever law fits. I stared at my reflection in the 2-way mirror. The woman looking back wasn't fragile. There was steel in her shoulders now. Then we break their script. Meaning? Meaning I tell them exactly what they did. The ledgers, the suppression formula, the attempt at my life, I met his gaze. They want a compliant daughter. They'll get a witness instead. His jaw flexed. That will paint a target the size of... Already there, remember. A knock interrupted us. A detective, older, weary, peeked in. Dr. Wolfe? Miss Hart, you're cleared. Charges withdrawn. What? I blinked. That was fast. He hesitated. Anonymous video just hit the feed. Footage from your hospital security cams. Shows an attempt on your life the night of the fire alarm. Names your father's private driver as the suspect. Looks like someone up top wants this cleaned quietly. Vanessa again, I thought. But not as rescuer. As someone covering tracks. Darius's phone buzzed. He glanced, frowned. Priya, he answered. What? Slow down. He hung up, color draining from his face. Your parents are filing for medical custody. Of me? Of your condition. The Omega Bond response. Something in my chest went cold. They're trying to regulate it. They're trying to own it. We left the station into a night washed silver by the full moon. My pulse was a drumbeat. Every sound too sharp, every light too bright. I could feel Darius beside me. His heartbeat, his scent, the steady calm he wore like armor. The bond sense was louder now, tugging like a thread between us. Nia, his voice was careful, you need to focus on breathing again. I am. You're shaking. I'm angry. That's part of it. Let me help. The world tilted. My knees buckled. The bond roared to life like thunder behind my eyes. He caught me before I hit the pavement, arms wrapping around me, grounding me against his chest. The scent hit full force. Storm, salt, cedar, home. My wolf surged, howling in my blood. Look at me, he commanded. Eyes on me. I can't. Yes, you can. Anchor to me I did. Slowly, painfully, the chaos eased. His thumb brushed under my jaw, steadying my head. The city sounds blurred away until it was only us, breath and heartbeat, tethered in something bigger than reason. What's happening to me? I whispered. Your instincts are sinking to mine, he said. It's the bond surge. You're too newly awakened. Emotions amplify it. And if I fight it, then it hurts worse. So my choices are surrender or explode. His mouth twitched. Welcome to my every Tuesday. Despite everything, I laughed. Weak, gasping, real. He adjusted his hold until I was standing, his hand firm at my waist. You're okay? Stay with me. I am, I said, but my body disagreed. The world blurred again, warmth flooding through me. I leaned forward before I could think better, just a fraction, breath against his neck. He inhaled sharply. Nia, just don't move. He didn't. For one heartbeat, we stood suspended between impulse and disaster. Then headlights swept the street, breaking the spell. He stepped back, voice rough. We need to get you somewhere safe. Now, where? My territory, he said simply. If your family wants to make this a war, they'll have to walk through hell to reach you. Back seat, silence. The drive out of the city was wordless. Streetlights blurred past, rain starting to fall in thin sheets. I pressed my forehead to the glass, watching the skyline fade. Darius, I said finally, why are you doing this? Really? His hands tightened on the wheel. Because I know what happens to Omegas left unprotected in a world built by predators. That's not an answer. He hesitated. Because once, someone trusted me to keep her safe. I failed. I won't again. I turned toward him. The patient you lost. He nodded once. She didn't survive the suppression serum. Her family called it mercy. I called it murder. The car was silent except for the wipers and the low hum of the engine. My anger curled into something softer. I'm not her, I said quietly. I know. That's why I'm still breathing arrival. His territory, wolf-pack lands, lay beyond the river, hidden behind iron gates and forest. The air changed the moment we crossed the threshold. Cleaner, sharper, alive. Wolves ran here. You could feel it. He parked before a wide, glass-fronted lodge surrounded by pines. "You'll stay here tonight," he said. "You're under my protection now." The words thrummed like a vow. Inside, warmth met us. A fire crackling, distant howls threading through the dark. He guided me toward a couch near the hearth. I sank down, exhaustion settling over me like a blanket. "Sleep," he said. "You're safe here." "You keep saying that," I murmured. "Maybe one day I'll believe you." He crouched, eyes level with mine. "Then I'll keep saying it until you do." His gaze lingered on my wrist, the faint mark where he'd drawn the wolf weeks ago. He touched it gently, tracing the ink's ghost. "Still here," he whispered. "Still me," I replied. A low growl rolled through the lodge, deep, unfamiliar, not Darius's. He rose instantly, all alpha steel. "Nia," he said quietly, "stay behind me." The front door creaked open, and my father stepped inside. What would you do if the man who raised you came to claim your freedom as his property? Chapter 7. My father always knew how to fill a room, mostly by choking the air out of it. He stood in the doorway of Darius's lodge, silver hair perfectly in place despite the storm outside, trench coat tailored, eyes cold as a boardroom. His scent hit like old money and old lies. "Sweetheart," he said smoothly, like I was still the obedient daughter who smiled for photo ops. "You've caused quite a stir." Darius stepped in front of me, casual as a loaded gun. "You're trespassing on pack territory." Father's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm retrieving what's mine." "That's your first mistake," Darius said evenly. "She's not." My father's gaze slid to me, sharp and practiced. "Nia, you've always been impulsive. But this, running off with an alpha, making wild accusations, this could ruin our name." "Then maybe it deserves ruining," I said, and was surprised how steady it came out. "You had me followed. You paid someone to tamper with hospital equipment. You tried to erase me when you couldn't control me." He didn't deny it. He just sighed, like I was being melodramatic at brunch. "Do you have any idea what being outed as an Omega does to a family like ours? Investors panic, donors vanish. The Hart image was built on lies," I cut in. "I read your ledgers." His composure cracked, just a hair. "You don't understand the stakes." "I understand you tried to drug your own daughter to protect a logo." Darius's hand brushed my back, a silent warning to breathe. Father's gaze shifted to him. "And you, Dr. Wolfe. I remember your name now. You ran a clinical trial once, didn't you? The Omega serum that failed." "My company bought that patent." The air thickened. Darius's eyes went feral dark. "You killed people with it." My father's tone stayed mild. "Collateral research." That's when Darius moved, not violently, but with the kind of silent fury that makes the walls notice. He stepped close enough that my father's reflection trembled in the glass door. "If you come near her again," he said softly, "you'll learn what collateral feels like." Father didn't flinch. "You'd risk your license for a girl you barely know?" "I'd risk it to keep her breathing." For a heartbeat, nobody moved. The fire popped. Rain hissed against the windows. Then another voice sliced through the tension. "Dad!" Vanessa stood just beyond the doorway, mascara smudged, expression cracked open. For once, she didn't look composed. She looked human. "Vanessa, go wait in the car," Father ordered. She didn't move. "No." He turned sharply. "Excuse me?" I said no. She stepped forward, clutching something wrapped in silk. "You didn't tell me she was the one." Every nerve in my body went cold. "The one what?" Vanessa unwrapped the silk bundle and revealed a scroll, yellowed, claw-marked, sealed with the heart crest. Darius swore under his breath. "Where did you get that?" "It's been in the vault since before we were born," she said quietly. "Mom said it was a superstition." "But I read it." Her voice wavered. "It predicted an Omega born of the Hart bloodline who would unmake the old oaths and bring down the house built on betrayal." She looked at our father. "You knew. That's why you hid her." "Enough," he snapped. Vanessa's eyes glistened. "All my life you told me I was the chosen one, that I had to be perfect, that she was weak. But you weren't protecting me, were you? You were protecting yourself, because the prophecy said your empire would fall by her hands." "Vanessa," he warned. She laughed, sharp and broken. "Guess the prophecy forgot to mention you raised me to help her do it." For the first time in my life, I saw fear flicker in my father's eyes. Darius reached for the scroll, reading fast, voice low. "This is real." Ancestral parchment. The Harts were one of the founding human lines that brokered peace with the wolf packs centuries ago. "This prophecy's older than your fortune." I stared at the curling script. "When the forgotten child awakens, the false crowns shall fall." Vanessa looked at me then, really looked, and her mask shattered completely. "I hated you because they told me to." Her voice cracked. "I didn't know why they were scared of you." "I'm not the monster," I said softly. "They are." Father's control broke. "You ungrateful—" Darius stepped forward, intercepting him before the word could land. "Get out!" "This isn't over," Father hissed. Darius's power rolled through the room like a growl made of thunder. "It is if you take one more step toward her." My father's expression curdled. He turned on his heel, coat flaring, storming out into the night. Vanessa hesitated on the threshold. "Vanessa," I said quietly. She turned, eyes wet. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "I know." She gave a strangled laugh. "You sound like Mom." I smiled faintly. "Maybe that's the curse." And then she was gone. Aftermath. The lodge fell silent except for the rain. I sank onto the couch, shaking with the kind of adrenaline hangover that comes after choosing to stand tall instead of run. Darius sat across from me, elbows on his knees, staring at the dying fire. "You realize your family will burn the city to ash, trying to discredit that prophecy." "Then let them," I said. "Ashes are good for regrowth." He studied me for a long time. "You're not afraid anymore." "I am," I admitted. "Just not of them." He leaned back, expression softening. "That's the most dangerous kind of courage," I managed a grin. "Good. Maybe it runs in the bloodline?" He shook his head, half smiling. "You're impossible." "I've been called worse." The fire crackled between us, warmth and danger intertwining. My wolf stirred again, humming approval. Outside, thunder rolled across the pines, low and certain like a drum announcing change. Darius's phone buzzed. He checked it, then frowned deeply. "What is it?" I asked. He turned the screen toward me. A news alert flashed. "Hart Industries raided by authorities. Alleged biotech fraud under investigation." Below the headline, a grainy photo. My mother being led into a car by agents. And under it, in smaller text, "Sources allege whistleblower provided evidence of illegal human wolf genetic trials." The source was anonymous, but I knew exactly who it was. Would you expose your own bloodline if it meant saving others, or keep their secrets buried to survive? Chapter 8. The word hearing sounded civilized. It wasn't. The pack council chamber inside the mountain headquarters of Wolf Territory was half stone, half glass, and all judgment. 10 alphas from allied packs sat in a crescent above a long table, silver insignia gleaming at their throats. Reporters weren't allowed, but power didn't need cameras to perform. I stood at Darius's side under the council's heavy gaze. My heart beat slow, deliberate. My wolf crouched inside me, listening. "Dr. Wolfe," the presiding alpha began, You stand accused of obstructing a lawful medical transfer and harboring a high-risk Omega without authorization. Translation: You helped the wrong girl. Darius's voice was calm. She's not property. She's a patient and a citizen. Her family funded suppression trials. I have evidence. A low murmur swept through the chamber. The word suppression had weight here, like someone had whispered a curse. The senior alpha, gray-haired, eyes like amber knives, frowned. The Harts deny those accusations. They claim Ms. Hart is unstable, manipulated by your personal interest. I lifted my chin. If being manipulated means surviving your system, then yes, consider me deeply corrupted. A ripple of amusement ran through the younger alphas. Not Darius. He was stone, proud stone. Ms. Hart, the elder continued, your lineage is human. What stake do you claim among us? My blood was human, I said. My nature wasn't. You all felt it the night of the gala. I'm Omega, pure lineage. Your treaties protect my kind, even from the families who'd rather erase us. A pause. The elder's brow creased. You have proof? Darius placed a sealed file on the table. Her lab reports, genetic markers consistent with dormant Omega line, the awakening triggered by trauma. They studied the data, whispers, paper shuffling, authority making small sounds to hide uncertainty. Finally, the elder spoke again. And this prophecy your family kept? You truly believe you are its subject? I smiled faintly. My father does. That's why he tried to kill me. Silence, sharp and perfect. Then a different alpha, female, eyes pale as frost, leaned forward. You've been through enough. What do you want, Ms. Hart? The question startled me. No one had ever asked what I wanted, only what I would do for them. I want the truth exposed, I said. I want the suppression formula destroyed, and I want the packs to stop pretending Omegas are burdens to manage instead of equals to protect. The council chamber buzzed like a hive. Darius glanced sideways at me, pride flickering in his eyes. The elder nodded slowly. We will investigate. Until then, you remain under Dr. Wolfe's guardianship. I don't need a guardian, I interrupted. I need an ally. That earned a few approving grins. The elder's mouth twitched. Then an ally he shall be. This hearing is adjourned. When we stepped outside, dawn brushed gold over the cliffs. Darius released a breath that had probably been chained up for hours. You're reckless, he said. I'm effective. He gave a short laugh. That too. We walked down the long stone steps toward the lodge parking area. For a moment, the world felt still, my shoulders loosened. The air was clean here, scented with pine and promise. You realize, he said quietly, you just made yourself the most dangerous woman in both worlds. Then I should get business cards. He smiled, small and rare. You're impossible. Before I could reply, a young pack medic jogged up the path. Dr. Wolfe? Urgent package for you. Courier said it's medication for Ms. Hart's condition. He frowned. Medication? I didn't authorize anything. The medic handed over a small insulated case. The label bore my father's company logo. Every alarm in my body went off. Don't open it. But Darius already had. Inside, a sleek vial, glimmering pale blue. Suppression serum. He swore softly. They're still trying. Burn it, I said. He nodded, sealing the box again. I'll have it destroyed properly. He turned toward the lab building. I waited near the overlook, breathing deep, trying to shake the phantom scent of chemicals. Then something pricked my skin. A sting, almost delicate, on my forearm. I looked down. A tiny dart. What the? The world tilted, sound distorted, the edges of everything melted. Darius's voice echoed somewhere far away. Nia! I collapsed against the railing. The trees doubled, blurred, dissolved into white light. Hands caught me before the ground did. Darius again. Always him. His voice was rough with panic. "Stay with me." "Nia, look at me, I couldn't." The serum spread cold fire through my veins, stealing air, stealing sound. My wolf screamed inside my chest and then went silent. "Don't you dare," he whispered fiercely. "Don't you dare go quiet on me." He pressed his palm over the injection site, glowing faintly with energy, the faint shimmer of his alpha control. I felt it, faint, but real, like heat pushing back frost. Through the haze, I saw the medic who delivered the vial running toward us, eyes wide with shock. "It wasn't me! Someone swapped the—" A gunshot cracked the air. The medic fell. Darius pulled me behind the stone pillar, shielding me with his body. "Sniper!" I barely heard him. My heartbeat was slowing, too slow, too heavy. He tore his jacket open, pressing his hand over my heart, chanting under his breath. Something old, a wolf oath. The warmth spread from his skin to mine. His energy tangled with my pulse. For a moment our scents fused, storm and cedar and the faint sweetness of my omega shift. He growled low, "You will not die for their sins." The world blinked once, twice, then everything exploded into light. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was standing in a field under a silver moon, the air thick with mist. My wolf stood across from me, massive, white, eyes the same gray as Darius's. "You've been sleeping," she said. "Now wake up." I reached out. "They're killing us." "Then stop letting them." The wolf leaned forward until our foreheads touched. Heat surged, pain and power and clarity all at once. When I opened my eyes, I was back in Darius's arms. The serum had burned out of me, literally. The vial lay shattered, frost creeping outward from where it fell. Darius looked down at me, disbelief and relief warring in his expression. "You neutralized it." I smiled weakly. "Guess your lab's missing a data point." He laughed once, breathless, then pulled me close. "Don't scare me like that again." "I'll try," I said, voice faint. "No promises." He looked up at the rising sun, jaw set. "They just declared war." "Good," I murmured. I was getting bored. Sirens echoed again. This time, not police, but council alarms. Darius's phone buzzed with an emergency alert. "Security breach. Hart family enforcers headed for wolf territory." He met my gaze. "They're coming for you." I sat up slowly, the fire already rekindling in my chest. "Then we'll be ready. If the people who raised you tried to poison your future, would you forgive them or become their reckoning?" Chapter 9. When the alarm sirens began to wail, the forest itself seemed to flinch. Wolf territory went from calm to battle-ready in less than a minute. Guards taking posts, steel shutters sliding over glass, comms crackling with sharp voices. Through it all, Darius stayed beside me, pulse steady, eyes wildfire bright. "They'll come fast," he said. "Your father's not one for subtlety." "Then he shouldn't have raised a daughter who bites back." He gave a dry laugh, one corner of his mouth curving. "That's the spirit." We stood in the lodge's command room, walls lined with monitors showing thermal outlines creeping through the pines. Armed men in black suits moving in formation, corporate muscle masquerading as security. Vanessa's voice came through a hacked speaker before the first strike. "Nia," she said, "don't do this. Hand over the data, surrender quietly, and maybe he'll let you live." "Maybe," I shot back, raising the mic. "Your pitch is terrible." A pause, then quieter. "You don't understand. Mom's in custody, Dad's unraveling. He's desperate. Then he should have thought about that before trying to murder me." Darius's hand brushed mine, grounding me. "Focus. They'll breach in 30 seconds. I nodded, heart pounding. "What do you need me to do?" He met my eyes. "Trust your instincts." The first explosion shattered the night. Windows blew inward, smoke billowing through the entry hall. I ducked behind the console as Darius shifted, a flash of silver light tracing his form. His wolf, the size of a small car, black as midnight, tore through the smoke like a storm with claws. I should have been terrified. I wasn't. My own wolf, the pale silver one from the dream field, uncurled beneath my skin, whispering, "Now." I stepped into the chaos and the world slowed. The scent of gunpowder, the electric taste of fear. Every detail sharpened until I could see the threads of movement, where they would strike next. A soldier lunged at me. I ducked, grabbed the tranq gun from his belt, fired it into the thigh of the next. Smooth. Efficient. My wolf hummed approval. "Nia!" Darius's voice, half growl, half command. "Stay down." "Not a chance," I yelled back. "I'm done being rescued." He snarled something that sounded suspiciously like a curse but didn't stop fighting. Wolves and men clashed across the courtyard, muzzle flashes lighting the trees. Then, above it all, I saw him, my father, standing behind the advancing line, shouting orders, face lit by the fire he'd made. He looked smaller than I remembered. He also looked right at me. "Nia!" His voice was raw. "Don't do this." "Come home." "I am home," I said, and squeezed the trigger. The dart hit his shoulder. Not lethal, just enough to drop him to his knees. "Sleep it off, Dad." When the smoke cleared, half his men were down, the rest retreating. Darius shifted back, breathing hard, blood streaking his temple. I ran to him. "You're bleeding." He gave a short laugh. "You're glowing." He was right. My skin shimmered faintly, the faint silver aura pulsing at my wrists, matching the rhythm of my heartbeat. I felt powerful, whole. The Omega inside me had awakened fully, but it didn't feel submissive. It felt sovereign. "What's happening?" I whispered. "You're changing," Darius said softly. "Your wolf's merging with your human side. You're not just Omega anymore." "Then what am I?" He smiled faintly, eyes dark with awe. "The prophecy called you the Unmaker. But maybe you're just the next evolution I swallowed, trembling." "That sounds lonely." He stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Not if you let someone stand with you." The air between us charged. Familiar now, that hum of scent and heartbeat aligning. The bond sense pulsed, a living thread binding us together. "Darius," I said, voice barely a whisper. "Why me?" His hand cupped my jaw, rough thumb brushing my cheek. "Because the moment I smelled your blood on the ER floor, every part of me recognized what I'd been missing. Because your strength doesn't scare me. It humbles me. And what if I break?" He leaned in, breath warm against my ear. "Then I'll break with you." Something inside me, some last fragile wall, shattered. The bond surged, burning and beautiful, and for a heartbeat the world narrowed to the two of us. His scent wrapped around me like a promise. I exhaled, and our connection locked. It wasn't a claiming. It was a vow, equal, chosen. When the light faded, we stood breathing hard, hands still tangled. "You just rewrote biology," he murmured. "I've been rewriting my family legacy all week. Might as well add science." He laughed then, real and deep, relief bleeding into something softer. By morning, the remaining attackers had been detained. The council sent emissaries. Father was under guard, sedated but alive. I watched the sunrise from the balcony overlooking the valley, hair tangled, heart oddly light. Darius joined me, 2 mugs of coffee in hand. "Vanessa's gone," he said quietly. "Council reports she fled after the battle." "Let her run," I said. "Maybe she'll find herself where I did, in the ruins." He studied me. "You know they'll try again." Power doesn't give up easily. "I'm counting on it," I said, sipping my coffee. "Gives me purpose." He shook his head, smiling. "You really are impossible." "Admit it." You like it, he didn't deny it. A courier hawk landed on the railing, scroll tied to its leg. Darius untied it, frowned, and handed it to me. The seal wasn't the council's. It was Vanessa's. I unrolled the parchment. One line written in her looping script. "Meet me where it began. Come alone, or the truth dies with me." Below the signature, a map coordinate. the site of my car crash. If your sister who betrayed you begged for a meeting at the place that nearly killed you, would you go? Chapter 10. The coordinates burned in my palm all night. Darius argued, of course. So did every logical cell in my body. But logic had never gotten me far in the Hart family. By dawn, I was standing where my old life had ended. Kings Avenue looked smaller in daylight, just a stretch of cracked asphalt, and an intersection still scarred by oil stains. The guardrails bent inward like ribs, marking the spot where the SUV hit. Somewhere in the gutter, my old self probably still lingered, quietly bleeding disbelief. Fog clung low to the ground. The city hummed distant and uncaring. Vanessa stepped out of the mist. Same gold hair, but this time no entourage, no heels, just a coat thrown over jeans, dark circles under her eyes. "You came," she said. "Curiosity's a disease," I replied. "Yours or mine, I'm not sure yet." She gave a tired laugh. "You always did have the better lines. I learned from watching you lie for years." Her smile faltered. "Then maybe I taught you something useful." We stood there, facing each other like mirror images that finally stopped pretending to align. "I didn't mean for the accident to happen," she said first. "Dad told the driver to scare you. Make you disappear for a while. I swear I didn't know he—" I raised a hand. "You didn't know, or you didn't ask?" Her voice cracked. "Does it matter?" "Yes," I said softly. "It's the difference between guilt and regret." She looked down at the pavement, shivering despite the mild air. "I didn't come to apologize." "Not exactly, then why?" "To end it." "All of it." From her coat pocket, she pulled a flash drive and a folded set of papers. "Dad's last insurance policy, every contract, every suppressed trial result. If you leak this, Hart Industries collapses. The council will blacklist every shareholder. Mom will lose everything." "Everything you were raised to protect," I said. Her hands trembled. "Exactly." I took the papers carefully. "Why give them to me?" "Because you won't bury them. Because you're the only one who still believes truth matters." She met my eyes. "And because I can't live with it anymore." "Then don't," I said gently. "Change with me." Her mouth twisted. "You think I get redemption that easy? I think you get a choice." The fog shifted behind her. A shadow moved, too fluid, too deliberate. My wolf stirred. "Vanessa," I said carefully, "we're not alone." She turned just as a sharp crack split the air. A gunshot. She gasped and stumbled. I caught her before she fell, crimson blooming through her coat. "No," I breathed. "No, no, no." She smiled weakly. "Guess. Dad didn't want witnesses." Her pulse fluttered under my hands. The world blurred. Footsteps echoed from the shadows. Another of Father's hired ghosts, stepping into view with a rifle. Before I could react, a second sound split the silence. A snarl, low and deadly. Darius. He hit the man like a storm incarnate, one motion, one strike, gone before I could blink. The rifle clattered to the pavement. I looked up, choking on relief and grief all at once. "She's hit!" He knelt beside us, pressing his hand over the wound, but his eyes told me what his mouth didn't. It was too deep. Vanessa's breath hitched. "You were right, you know," she whispered. "Family means something. Just not what we thought." Tears stung my eyes. "Don't talk like that." She gave a faint smile. "Tell Mom I forgive her. Tell Dad I don't." And then she was still. I don't remember much after that. Just the sound of sirens, the taste of iron, Darius's arm around me as I stood in front of the cameras later that day, clutching the flash drive like a weapon. The council had convened an emergency session. The news channels were already spinning their own myths. I was done letting other people write mine. I stood on the steps of the courthouse, fog burning away to clear morning, and spoke. "My name is Nia Hart," I began, "and my family built an empire out of silence." I told them everything. The suppression experiments, the illegal biotech trials, the accident, the prophecy. I didn't spare myself. I didn't spare Vanessa. By the time I finished, the crowd was silent. For the first time, the city listened. Darius stood behind me, not touching, just there. A shadow that wasn't heavy anymore. When the press asked what I wanted next, I said, to rebuild. To make sure no one ever has to be erased to keep someone else's secret. Weeks later, the Hart estate went up for auction. The funds from the sale seeded something new, the Omega Legal Defense Network. Darius helped me found it, though he refused to take any credit. He moved his clinic to Wolf territory. I opened an outreach branch in the city. The air between us stayed warm, magnetic, impossible to ignore. One night, under the same silver moon that had cursed and saved me, he found me sitting on the lodge balcony. "You did it," he said quietly. "You burned their empire down." "Not all of it," I said. "Some ashes are mine." He came closer. "Then let's build something out of them." I smiled. "Together?" He nodded. "Always." He didn't kiss me yet. He didn't have to. The bond pulsed between us, steady and sure, a promise made in blood and moonlight. Epilogue. 6 months later, I returned to Kings Avenue. The guardrails had been repaired. A new car idled nearby. Mine. I placed a small silver bracelet on the asphalt, the one Darius had drawn the wolf on months ago. The ink had faded, but the meaning hadn't. "Goodbye," I whispered to the girl who died here. "You did your job." Then I stood, turned toward the sunrise, and walked away. They called me the Unmaker after that. I preferred the one who finally chose herself. If you'd burn your past to forge your own power, share this with your pack, and remember, sometimes the forgotten become the fire that changes everything.